இந்த வீடியோல நம்ம பார்க்க போறது Maths Reduced Syllabus 2021 to 2022 for 11th standard. So first chapter sets, relation and functions. So 1.1 la introduction, 1.2 la set, 1.2.1 properties of set operation, 1.4 constants and variables, intervals and neighborhoods, 1.4.1 constants and variables, 1.4.2 intervals and neighborhoods, 1.5 relation, 1.5.1 types of relation, 1.6 function, 1.6.1 ways of representing function, 1.6.2 some elementary function, 1.6.5 inverse of a function, 1.6.6 algebra of function, 1.6.7 some special function. Second chapter basic algebra, 2.1 introduction, 2.3 absolute value, 2.3.1 definition and properties, 2.3.2 equation involving absolute value, 2.3.3 some results for absolute value, 2.3.4 inequalities involving absolute value, 2.4 linear inequalities, 2.5 quadratic functions, 2.5.1 quadratic formula, 2.5.2 quadratic inequalities, 2.7 rational function, 2.7.1 rational inequalities, 2.7.2 partial fraction, 2.8 exponents and radicals, 2.8.1 exponents, 2.8.2 radicals, 2.8.3 exponential function, 2.9 logarithm, 2.9.1 properties of logarithm, 2.10 application of algebra in real life. Next, trigonometry, third chapter trigonometry, 3.1 introduction, 3.2 a recall of basic results, 3.2.5 coterminal angles, 3.3 radian measures, 3.3.1 relation between degree and radian measures, 3.4 trigonometric functions and their properties, 3.4.1 trigonometric functions of any angle in terms of Cartesian coordinates, 3.4.2 trigonometric functional of real numbers, 3.4.3 allied angles, 3.4.4 some characteristics of trigonometric function, 3.5 trigonometric identities, 3.5.1 sum and differences identities or compound angle formulas, 3.5.2 multiple angle identities and submultiple angle identities, 3.5.3 product to sum and sum to the product identities. Next, fourth chapter combinatorics and mathematical induction, 4.1 introduction, 4.2 fundamental principles of counting, 4.3 factorials, 4.4 permutations theorem, 4.1 to 4.3 without proof, 4.4.1 permutation of distinct objects, 4.4.2 properties of permutation without proof, 4.4.3 object always together string method, 4.4.4 no two things are together gap method, 4.4.5 permutation of not all distinct objects, 4.5 combinations. Next 4.5.1 properties of combination without proof, 4.6 mathematical induction, chapter 5 binomial theorem, sequence and series, 5.1 introduction, theorem 5.2, 5.3 without proof, 5.4 finite sequences, 5.4.1 arithmetic and geometric progression, 5.5 finite series, 5.5.2 telescope summation for finite series, 5.6 infinity sequence and series, 5.6.1 Fibonacci sequences, 5.6.2 infinity geometric series, 5.6.4 telescopic summation for infinity series, 5.6.5 binomial series. Sixth chapter, two-dimensional analytical geometry, 6.1 introduction, 6.2 locus of a point, 6.3 straight line, 6.3.1 the relation between the angles of inclination and slope, 6.3.2 intercepts of a line, 6.3.3 different forms of an equation of a straight line, 6.3.4 general formula of two other forms, 6.4 angle between two straight lines, 6.4.1 condition for parallel lines, 6.4.2 condition for perpendicular lines, 6.4.3 position of a point with respect to a straight line, 6.4.4 distance formulas, 6.4.5 family of lines, 6.4.6 one parameter family, 6.4.7 two parameter families, 6.5 pair of straight lines, 6.5.1 pair of lines passing through the origin, 6.5.2 angle between the pair of straight line, 6.5.3 equation of the bisectors of the angle between the lines ax square plus 2hxy plus by square is equal to 0. 6.5.4 general form of a pair of straight lines. Next, chapter 7, matrices and determinants. 7.1 introduction, 7.2 matrices, 7.2.4 properties of matrix, addition, scalar, multiplication and product of matrices, 7.2.5 operation of transpose of a matrix and its properties, 7.2.6 symmetric and skew symmetric matrices, 7.3 determinants, 7.3.1 determinants of matrices of different order, 7.3.2 properties of determinants without proof, 7.3.3 application of factor theorem to determinants, 7.3.4 product of determinants, 7.3.5 relation between a determinant and its cofactor determinant, 7.3.6 area of a triangular, 7.3.7 singular and non-singular matrix. 8th chapter, vector algebra 1. 8.1 introduction, 8.2 scalars and vectors, 8.3 representation of a vector and types of vector, 8.4 algebra of vectors, 8.4.1 addition of vectors, 8.4.2 difference between the vectors, 8.4.3 scalars multiplication of a vector, 8.4.4 some properties and results, 8.5 position of vectors, 8.6 resolution of vectors, 8.6.1 resolution of a vector in 2 dimension, 8.6.2 resolution of a vector in 3 dimension, 8.6.3 matrix representation of a vector, 8.7 direction cosines and direction ratios, 8.8 product of vectors, 8.8.1 angle between two vectors, 8.8.2 scalar product, 8.8.3 properties of scalar product without proof, 8.8.4 vector product, 8.8.5 properties of vector product without proof. Next, chapter 9, differential calculus, limits and continuity. 8.1 introduction, theorem 9.4 and resume or something, இது என்னன்னு தெரியல பார்த்துக்கோங்க. 9.1ல இருந்து 9.4 without proof. 9.2 limits, 9.2.1 the calculation of limits, 9.2.2 one side limit, 9.2.3 theorems on limits, 9.2.4 infinity limits and limits at infinity, 9.2.5 limits at infinity, 9.2.6 limits at rational functional, 9.2.7 application of limits, 9.2.8 sandwich theorem, 9.2.9 two spectral trigonometrical limits, 9.2.9 some important other limits, 9.3 continuity, 9.3.1 examples of function continuously at a point, 9.3.2 algebra of continuous function, 9.3.3 removable and jump discontinuities. 10th chapter, differential calculus, that is differentiability and methods of differentiation. 10.1 introduction theorem, 10.1 to 10.6 without proof, 10.2 the concept of derivative, 10.2.1 the tangent line problem, 10.2.2 velocity of rectilinear motion, 10.2.3 the derivatives of a function, 10.2.4 one-sided derivative, left hand and right hand derivatives, 10.3 differentiability and continuity, 10.4 differentiation rules. 10.4.1 derivatives of basic elementary function. 10.4.2 examples on chain rule. 10.4.3 implicity differentiation. 10.4.4 logarithmic differentiation. 10.4.5 substitution method. 10.4.6 derivatives of variables defined by parametric equations. 10.4.7 differentiation of one function with respect to another function. 10.4.8 high order derivatives. 11th chapter integral calculus. 11.1 introduction. 11.2 Newton's Leibniz integrals. So 11.2 Newton's Leibniz integral. 11.3 basic rules of integration. 11.4 integrals of the form the equation பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Okay. 11.5 properties of integrals without proof. 11.6 simple application. 11.7 methods of integration. 11.7.1 decomposition method. 11.7.2 decomposition by partial fraction. 11.7.3 methods of substitution or change of variable. 11.7.4 important results. 11.7.5 integration by parts. 11.7.6 Bernoulli's formula for integration by parts. 11.7.8 integrals of the form 1 and இது sin அந்த இது பார்த்துக்கோங்க. form 2 பார்த்துக்கோங்க. 11.7.9 integration of rational algebraic functions. Next chapter 12 introduction to probability theory. 12.1 introduction. 12.2 basic definition. 12.3 finite sample space theorem. 12.3 to 12.6 12.8 12.10 12.11 without proof. 12.4 probability. 12.4.3 odds ODDS. 12.5 some basic theorems on probability. 12.6 conditional probability. 12.6.1 independent events. 12.7 total probability of an event. 12.8 Bayes theorem. So இப்போ மேலே இப்போ சொன்ன இந்த 12 சாப்டர்லேயும் எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் எக்ஸசைஸ் எல்லா மேலே சொன்ன எல்லா டாபிக்ஸ்லேயும் இருக்கிற அந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் அண்ட் எக்ஸசைஸை நல்லா பார்த்துக்கோங்க. ஸோ இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா ஒரு லைக், ஷேர், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் டு சயின்ஸ் ஈஸி டெக் சேனல். என்னோடய பழைய சயின்ஸ்லேயே வீடியோ லிங்க்கை வந்து டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷனில் போட்டிருக்கேன். பயாலஜி வீடியோஸை நீங்கள் வேணும்னா போய் பாருங்கள். ஏதாச்சும் டவுட்ஸ் ரிகார்டிங் த ரெடியூஸ்டு சிலபஸ் ஆர் எந்த டவுட்ஸ் இருந்தாலும் கமெண்ட் பாக்ஸில் போடுங்க.